All right, as we get started, I want to drill over your conversion units. And we've got a lot of U.S. units. We've got a lot of units of time, obviously mixed in here. We don't have metric, because we really don't need to know metric units. We should know metric prefixes, though, and what they mean. For instance, class, we need to know that deci means 1/10 or tenths. We need to know that hecto means hundreds. We need to know that milli means 1/1000th or thousandths. We need to know that deca means 10. We need to know that centi means 1/100th. And which one is it that means thousands? Kilo means thousands. And when it comes to converting metric, remember, all we really need to do is remember one pseudo-historical fact.
Drinking chocolate milk.
We mostly have the unison effect going there. King Henry died unexpectedly drinking chocolate milk. We also need to remember that we just boink the decimal, right? Figure out where the decimal is. Figure out how many places and in which direction the decimal boinks. And do likewise with our decimal when it comes to the metric system. For now, though, let's go and review over some of these facts. Let's start over here with row 1. 2 tablespoons in a fluid ounce. 2 tablespoons in a fluid ounce. 20 years in a score. 24 hours in a day. 36 inches in a yard. 2 cups in a pint. About 52. Good, that's why we've got the little squiggly equal sign. About 52 weeks in a year.
1,760.
1,760. It's not necessarily a race here, Bryson. It kind of is, but not entirely. 1,760 yards in the mile. 60 minutes in the hour. 8 fluid ounces in the cup, remember. 8 fluid ounces in a cup. By the way, if it takes 2 tablespoons, class, to make a fluid ounce, and then there are 8 of those fluid ounces in a cup, how many tablespoons are in a cup? 16, right? 2 times the 8. Let's see, coming back over here.
5,280.
5,280.
4
quarts in the gallon.
366.
366 days in the leap year. By the way, remember, a leap year is any year that's divisible by 4 unless it ends in double zero. And again, it's not because numbers ending in double zero aren't divisible by 4. It's to try to keep the solar year as accurate as possible. So every 100 years, they kind of reset things a bit. 16 ounces to the pound. 4 pecks to the bushel.
10.
100 years to the century.
30.
3 feet to the yard.
1,000.
1,000 years to the millennium.
4.
2 pints to a quart. 1 quart equals 2 pints. All right. 10 years in the decade. 8 quarts to the peck. Remember, 4 quarts to a liquid gallon, 8 quarts to the dry peck.
660.
60 seconds in a minute. 12 inches in a foot.
2,000.
2,000 pounds in a ton. 3 teaspoons to the tablespoon. 365 Luciana in there. 365 days to a year. 12 months to a year. 7 days to a week. 16 fluid ounces to a pint, because a pint is a pound. The world around. Have your homework out. Books open to page 234 is where we're going to start. You did have one word problem back on page 232, and that word problem had a twist to it that I did not realize it had when I assigned it. So I'm curious to see how you handled it. But let's go and start with numbers 1 through 13 on page 234. Oh, bright, cheerful pink today. 234. The answers are all over here. Okay, and you can find them when I need you to call on you, I hope. Yes, ma'am. That's fine. We just go around. 234. Good. Good. All right, good, and good. All right, let's take a look at page 234. Number 1. You are adding up pints and fluid ounces, and you just add them up to start with. Initially, what answer do we get for number 1, Elaine?
32 pints and 25 ounces.
32 pints, 25 fluid ounces. But we don't leave it that way, Corey. We get what final answer?
33 pints and 9 fluid ounces.
Good. We take 16 of the fluid ounces and make a new pint out of it. 33 pints, 9 fluid ounces. Number 2, initially, you just add them up. And what do you get when you initially add all these things together here? Griffin?
Number 2.
On number 2, yes, sir.
Or we can always erase them and put the change.
Oh, okay. Well, okay. We do want the final answer eventually. Tell you what, Kirsten still has her original answer.
52 yards and 63 inches.
Good. 52 yards, 63 inches. And then, Griffin, you needed to steal how many of those inches to make a new yard?
36.
36. And if you steal 36 of those inches to make a new yard, we get what for our answer?
53 yards and 27 inches.
Good. Did anyone happen to look at those 27 inches and be like, I could get a couple feet out of that? You could have done that, taken 24 of the inches and added an extra unit. We don't need to. We can just use the units they give us. But if you happened to say 53 yards, 2 feet, 3 inches, that'd be fine also. Number 3, when we initially add all those things together, what do we get? Ben?
On number 5.
Number 3.
15.
Well, that's the final answer. I was looking for the initial answer, Sam. Did you have the initial answer?
Yeah, 13 bushels and 8 pecks.
13 bushels, 8 pecks. But yes, we're going to take those 8 pecks, make 2 more bushels out of that because there's 4 pecks to the bushel to get 15 bushels for our answer, as Ben said. Number 4, what do we get for our initial answer, Jalen?
42. Wait, no.
Don't have the initial answer there, Bryson?
56 pounds, 32 ounces.
56 pounds, 32 ounces. But we take those 32 ounces, we convert over to pounds, so we end up with what for the final answer then, Jalen? I'm sorry?
59 pounds.
Ooh, not 59 pounds. 58 pounds. I'm wondering if you had just added your pounds wrong at the initial step. Should have added 2 pounds to 56. I think you might have had 57 when you added. Number 5, what do we get for our initial answer, Luciana?
10 gallons and 7 quarts.
10 gallons and 7 quarts. We're going to steal 4 of those quarts to make another gallon to give what final answer, Michael?
11 gallons and 3 quarts.
11 gallons and 3 quarts. Number 6, just give me your final answer. Let's come back to Jalen.
Number 6, 13 minutes, 20 seconds.
13 minutes, 20 seconds. How many perfect on 1 through 6? You got all 6 of them. Anyone just missed 1? I had questions on any of them. I know we kind of talked through them already. Do we need to see any of them worked out on the board? Jalen? Yeah, number 4, just be careful on your addition. 12 plus 9 plus 11, or 2 plus 9 plus 1 is 12. Carry the 1, 1 plus 1 plus 1 is 3, so there's 32 ounces. And I think you had that. I think your problem was 2 plus 6 is 8, plus 8 is 16, not 17. Carry the 1, 1 plus 2 plus 1 is 5. So I think you didn't have this. That's my gut. Because I think you took the 32 ounces and said that that became 2 more pounds, but that should have given us 58 pounds instead of 59 pounds or 57 pounds, whatever it was you said.
I had 56. I think I might have written 59 back, so.
Okay, all right. Good. Any other questions on these? Let's take a look at the word problem. Number 7, read that for us if you would, Bryson.
Miss Simmons sells homegrown vegetables. Last week she sold 15 pounds, 7 ounces of sweet potatoes, 36 pounds, 3 ounces of potatoes, and 6 pounds, 2 ounces of spinach, 5 pounds of tomatoes, and 18 pounds and 3 ounces of coleslaw.
Coleslaw?
Cauliflower.
Cauliflower.
It's a Friday.
It's a Friday, yeah. We can't be asked to think on a Friday.
What was the total weight of all the vegetables he sold?
All right, there we go. So we just got to add them all together and then convert over. What did you get for your final answer on this problem, Bryson?
80 pounds, 15 ounces.
80 pounds, 15 ounces is right. How many got the same thing? 80 pounds, 15 ounces. Very good. Number 8, read that one for us if you would, Ben.
Nathan is planning to build a fence for his backyard. The 4 sides of his yard measure 80 feet 10 inches, 120 feet 4 inches, 85 feet 7 inches, and 10 feet 10 inches. What is the total length of fencing he will need?
Once again, they ask for total in both word problems, so both times we're adding, and when you add them all together, what did you get for your answer, Ben?
70.
Your final answer, when you added those all together?
Yes, sir.
70 what?
Feet.
Well, for one of the sides is already 80 feet 10 inches, so it can't be 70 feet. We're just adding these together, Ben, real quick. 0 plus 4 plus 7 plus 0.
11.
1 plus 1 plus 1.
3.
So we should have 31 inches here. Now 0 plus 0 plus 5 plus 0.
5.
I'm going to go out of order. I'm going to say 8 plus 2.
10.
And 8 plus 1.
9.
9 plus 10 is...
19.
Carry the 1. 1 plus 1 is...
2.
So we should have initially had 295 feet, 31 inches. And then how many inches to make a foot?
12.
But I can take away more than just 12. I could take away another 12. Or in other words, I could take away
24.
24 inches, make those 2 more feet to get up to how many feet now?
297.
And then how many leftover inches when I take away the 24? Class?
7.
Should have 7 inches. How many had the 297 feet? 7 inches. All right, questions on this? Not quite sure where 70 came from. Take a look at numbers 9 through 11. We begin multiplying mixed measures together, and not together, multiplying a mixed measure times a constant value. And again, just like with addition, we just multiply, because it's like addition. We're just, instead of adding 5 hours, 8 minutes, 5 hours, 8 minutes, 5 hours, 8 minutes, 5 hours, 7 times, we just multiply by 7. What do we get for our initial answer here? Corey?
35 hours, 56 minutes,
How many minutes does it take to make another hour?
60.
But I don't have enough for it, do I? So can I change anything about my initial answer? How many left at 35 hours, 56 minutes? You're done. Sometimes it's that easy. Not very often, admittedly, but sometimes it's that easy. Look at the next one. What do we get for our initial answer? Griffin.
108 feet and 84 inches.
108 feet, 84 inches. But how many inches does it take to make another foot?
12.
12. Well, 84 inches is exactly how many more 12s?
7.
So we can take those 7 feet worth added onto the 108. So your final answer for 10?
115 feet.
115 feet. Number 11. What do we get when we initially multiply, Kirsten?
90 cups and 54 fluid ounces.
90 cups, 54 fluid ounces. How many fluid ounces does it take to make a cup?
12. Oh no.
8. 8 fluid ounces in the cup. So how many 8s are in 54?
6.
6. That's going to be, if we have those, again, 54 fluid ounces going short on the board here. If we take away 6 8s, that's 48, right? That becomes 6 more cups to add on to the, what did you say initially, 90 cups? So what was your final answer?
96 cups and 6 fluid ounces.
96 cups and 6 fluid ounces is correct. How many got 9, 10, 11? All 3 correct. Any questions on 9, 10, or 11? Let's take a look then at numbers 12 and 13, just some basic review problems here. Number 12, they wanted you to round to the nearest whole percent. It said 46 is what percent of 152? Class, when you find a percent, you make a fraction. What was the fraction we should have made on number 12, Sam?
46 over 152.
46 over 152. We could probably reduce a little bit of that. What can I divide out of both of these, class?
2.
2. Not sure how much it helps or doesn't help, but I mean, it's worth a try, I guess. 46 divided by 2? 23. And then 152 divided by 2, class? 76. Remember, the top number goes in the house, the other number stands outside. Put some zeros in there, divide it out. What did you get for your answer, Sam?
I got 30%.
30% is correct. How many had approximately 30% when you rounded? All right, number 13. What's the ratio of apples to oranges? Note the order, apples to oranges, if there are 16 oranges and 23 apples. Michael?
23 to 16.
23 to 16 is correct. Questions on this homework? Flip back now to page 232. Flip back now to page 232. And they give us an interesting problem here. And on the surface, it looks really easy. And then I realize there's a little bit of a twist to this thing. Go ahead and read number 22 for us, Jalen.
A jar holds 1 quart, 6 fluid ounces of juice. How much could 16 jars hold?
All right, so if 1 jar is a quart and 6 fluid ounces, 16 jars, class, I just need to add up 16 of them, right? Could. I don't want to do that. Instead, Luciana, we should just multiply what?
1 quart, 6 fluid ounces by 16.
And the initial step is the easy part. That's fluid ounces. It's just really messy. 16 times 6, class, should have given you initially
36.
96 fluid ounces initially. And then 16 times 1, of course, is 16. However, we have not memorized how many fluid ounces are in a quart. Class, we know that 1 pint equals how many fluid ounces?
16.
16. But 1 quart equals how many pints, class?
2.
2. So if there's 2 of these pints in a single quart, 1 quart must equal how many fluid ounces, class? 32. So what we need to do is look at the 96 and say, how many 32s are in here, class?
3.
3. What is 3 times 32? Exactly 96. This becomes exactly 3 more quarts. And so our answer ends up being, class, 19 quarts is our answer. But again, the twist there is we hadn't memorized that the quart was 32 fluid ounces. We only memorized the pint was 16. So should have been our answer there. Questions on that? Any questions on these mixed measures, either adding them up or multiplying them? Any questions? Go and clear your desk, except for a clean sheet of paper and a pencil. A clean sheet of paper and a pencil. We're going to work on more mixed measures in a little bit, but for now, let's make sure we're on the right track, make sure we're keeping up with where we need to be here. We're going to take quiz 23 at this time, for those watching. Quiz 23. That's 1 clean sheet of paper and a pencil. Water bottles off our desks. Paper, pencil, everything else away. First and last name at the top of your paper along with today's date, which is 10/27/23. 10/27/23 as we record. And first and last name in the name spot. 10/27/23 in the date spot. Let's take a look at the quiz together very quickly, and then I'll let you get started. On numbers 1 through 5, don't make this hard. Just write the answer. That's it. There's no math required. It's just, do you have it memorized or not? Numbers 6 through 8, these are where you're going to actually do some math and convert. Remember, if you're going from larger to smaller, you do something. If you're going from smaller to larger, you do something else. Show the work off to the side. Show me what you do. That way, if you have a math error, I can give you some credit. And then for numbers 9 and 10, you're doing 1 addition and 1 multiplication problem. You may begin. Keep your work covered. more time. Anyone still working? Okay. Just another minute or so to finish up. All right, going past your papers forward, if you would, please. And if you're watching on video, you need a little bit more time, that's fine, but students in here are good to go. So we'll go ahead and collect that up. If you would, go and open up your textbooks to page 230. Open up your textbooks to page 230. We continue working on mixed measures. We start, of course, with addition. Just add them together, right? No big deal. But if there's leftovers, if there's enough of one unit that you could convert to the other, we need to do that. Multiplication is really more of the same, right? But instead of adding something a lot of times, just multiply. Subtraction presents a unique challenge because ideally the step would be just subtract, right? Like if I had, for instance, let's say I had 21 pounds and I had 15 ounces and I wanted to subtract 10 pounds and say 3 ounces. Well, class, I would just subtract. I would say 15 ounces minus 3 ounces, class. 12 ounces. I would say 21 pounds minus 10 pounds, class. 11 pounds. No big deal. It's easy. The problem is sometimes there's more of one unit down here than there is up here, particularly with the smaller unit. Now again, if I had 40 pounds, you can't take 40 pounds from 21 pounds, right? So if if I weigh 21 pounds, like I really want to lose 40 pounds, okay, you don't have that to lose necessarily. Dangerous, okay? But so you're not going to have to deal with that, but you may deal with it in the smaller unit column. What do we need to do, okay? So here's the key, write this across at the top of the page, page 230. Borrow 1 from the larger unit. Borrow 1, the number, borrow 1 from the larger unit, but convert it to the smaller. Borrow 1 from the larger unit, but convert it to the smaller. This is where students will get themselves in trouble. If I had, for instance, 215 and I was subtracting 177, for instance, class, can I do 5 minus 7?
No.
No. So I borrow from the 1, I make it a 0, and the 1 that I borrow basically becomes a 10, right? I just put a little 1 in front of the 5 and it becomes 15 minus 7, right? That's because we're dealing with place value. But over here, that's not the case. If I borrow 1 from the 21 class, I get 20 pounds. I guess I should erase this old answer here. But the 1 pound isn't 10 ounces. So it's not that I just put a 1 right here and now I can subtract, class. The 1 pound I'm borrowing is 16 ounces. I've already got 5 here. If I added 16 more, I now have how many ounces, class? 21 ounces. Does that make sense? Kind of like when we did fractions, right? If I had 17 minus 5 and 3/4. Well, I'm going to borrow 1 from the 7 class, make it a, but I don't write it as a 1 right here, class. I write it as a 4/4. Remember, I had to get creative with how I wrote my 1 that I borrowed. The same is true when you're subtracting with mixed measures. You've got to make the 1 look the right way. And in this case, it was 16 ounces. Look at the top of the page on page 230. They have 21 pounds, 3 ounces, minus 9 pounds, 7 ounces. Can you take 7 ounces from 3 ounces? No. So we have to borrow. They took 1 pound away. Notice they're down to 21 pounds, or 20 pounds, and they added to the 3 ounces the 1 pound, class, written as 16 ounces. That became 19 ounces, and then they could do their subtraction. Look at the next example problem. They're in the blue shaded box. They subtracted 5 tablespoons, 1 teaspoon, minus 3 tablespoons, 2 teaspoons. Notice, can you take 1 teaspoon minus 2 teaspoons, class? No, so they had to borrow from the 5 tablespoons. Make it 4 tablespoons, and the 1 tablespoon they borrowed became, class, 3 teaspoons. Well, they already had 1 teaspoon, now they got 3 more. How many teaspoons they got?
4.
That's how in the next line down, as you're paying attention, Sam, instead of scribbling in your book, you notice they now have 4 tablespoons, 4 teaspoons, minus 3 tablespoons, 2 teaspoons. So the key with subtraction is oftentimes, not always, if they're going to give you an easy one, let it be easy, right? But oftentimes, you're going to have to rewrite the problem so you can work it. For instance, look at this problem here. 22 minutes, 12 seconds, minus 16 minutes, 49 seconds. I ran cross country when I was in high school. And my first race was awful. I was not ready for a 3-mile run. I did not know what I was getting into. I'd been a sprinter through my junior high years, but the 12-minute runs were a problem for me. How many can, yes, I can relate. I can run fast, but I can't run for a long time. That was totally me. And, but my dad's like, I want you to do cross country. So, sprinter boy had to try to figure out cross country. And so my first race was awful. My second race was decent. 22 minutes, 13 seconds, or 12 seconds for a 5K run, a 3-mile run. It's not bad at all. But the guys who were like winning, for instance, were running, let's just say, 16 minutes, 49 seconds. Okay, they were freaks. All right, so the question is, how much slower was I? How far behind the winner was I? When the first guys crossed the finish line, how much longer did my parents have to wait till I came out of the woods and showed up at the finish line? Okay, basically. Well, in order to figure this out, we got to subtract. But class, can I take 49 seconds from 12 seconds?
No.
So I need to do what here, Jalen? From the 22 minutes, make it
21.
And how do I write the 1 minute I'm borrowing?
60 seconds.
60 more seconds. Now, I already had 12 here. Combined, how many seconds is this now, class?
72.
72 seconds. Now, if I were really lazy, I'd just put up like that and make it 72 seconds. Anyway, now I can subtract 72 seconds minus 49 seconds, class.
23.
23 seconds. And now we can also do the 21 minutes minus 16 minutes, class. 5 minutes. Apparently, if these were the actual numbers, I don't remember exactly, I just remember ballpark figure, then that would have put me 5 minutes, 23 seconds behind the winner. It's a long time.
Oh.
But all right, questions on this? Yes, sir.
What if there was not time, but what if there was a unit, like, it was gallons, but you had like 4 gallons and it was 2 pints? What would you do?
Get creative. Okay, so Michael's question. Let's just say we had 5 gallons, 1 pint, minus 1 gallon, and technically 2 pints would be written as a quart at this point, so that'd be kind of hard. But let's just say for whatever reason, we have 1 gallon of milk and 7 individual pints of milk, or whatever. I don't know. We'll just make it up. All right. You wouldn't do that, though, because you would write that in terms of quarts, or, yeah, so, let's try to think of another example here. Oh, I got it. Okay. Let's say we've got 3 yards and, no, because we know yards to inches. I know what you're trying to do. You're trying to, what?
Centimeters?
Even that's because that's a boink with the decimal, so even that's not a...
Inches to miles?
Yeah, I guess. Okay, so we could do, heaven forbid, 5 miles to 21 inches minus 3 miles and 75 inches, or something ghastly like that. Well, we don't know miles to inches, right? So we'd have to convert the mile that we borrow, 1 mile, into, class, 5,280 feet. And then we'd have to multiply that by another 12 to get some massive number of inches. I mean, we won't normally do that.
Okay.
But good question. Now look at this next one, because metric is always a little bit different, because metric, class, is based on the number 10. Metric is based on the number 10. There's 10 between 1,000 and 100. There's 10 between 100 and 10. There's 10 between 10 and unit. 10 between unit and tenth. Does that make sense? So here, if I go from meters to decimeters, class, how many decimeters are in a meter? 10. So when I borrow, I could actually, with the metric system, as long as they're adjacent to each other in King Henry, I really could just borrow like we're used to borrowing. But starting out here, do I need to borrow to do 7 centimeters minus 6 centimeters, class?
No.
No, if you don't need to borrow, don't. Can I do 3 minus 5?
No.
So I will borrow one of my meters to get 7, and the 1 meter becomes how many decimeters? 10 plus 3, and in metric, again, assuming they're unit, I really could just put it right in front. Or you could think, okay, that's 10 decimeters, added to the 3, it's 13. Now we subtract, class, 8 decimeters, and of course here we'll get just 3 meters. Does it make sense how to borrow when you're working with units? It's a little different, typically, than borrowing with other numbers. I want you to turn now to page 232. Page 232, and do 24 to 30, the even. Just doing the evens for now. Page 232, numbers 24 to 30, the evens. Just the evens. Pencil down when you're done so I know that you're finished. Why don't you get a lot of it and bring it to yourself a little bit of So tear off what you need for now and save the rest. Maybe put the rest in your pocket. So you have to keep getting up.
Let's wait till we get on the bus.
Oh yeah, that'd be bad.
Oh no.
Ben's masking up. Smart.
Should've brought my mask too.
Kevin's I'll find a way.
It's always a way.
Cut off circulation in the carotid artery, maybe, but gotta protect ourselves from the germs. All right. All right, anyone still working on the evens?
I'm working on the odds now.
No, don't work on the odds yet. I said just the evens. Just the evens. Number 24, do we need to borrow, class? No, we just subtract Corey to get?
The 1 yard, 1 foot.
1 yard, 1 foot, no problem there. Now number 26 is a little obnoxious because we can't take 75 feet from nothing, so we've got to borrow one of those miles, class, and turn it into
5,280 feet.
5,280 feet. Now we can do our subtraction. What do we get for the answer, Luciana?
1 mile, 5,250 feet.
Say that one more time. I was my hearing was temporarily blocked by a loud crash.
1 mile, 5,205 feet.
1 mile, 5,205 feet is correct. I'm having a water bottle malfunction. There we go. Okay. Crisis averted. Number 28. We can't subtract. We have to borrow. And we're going to borrow one of those hours and turn it into how many minutes, Sam?
We're going to do it 60.
60. Now, we already had 7 minutes, so if we borrow 60 more, we're now up to
67 minutes.
67 minutes. Down to only 3 hours, though. Now we subtract again.
52. 1 hour and 52 minutes.
There we go. 1 hour, 52 minutes is correct. Number 30. We can't take 2 teaspoons from 1 teaspoon, Kirsten. We got to borrow one of our teaspoons, turn it in, or tablespoons, excuse me, turn it into
I did it wrong. I
Uh-oh.
accidentally took 10 tablespoons. Oh wait, I accidentally took 10. I took one from
Tablespoon.
and made it 11 on accident.
Okay, so you did what I said was going to be a common mistake, because I've seen it a bunch. You're hardly the first person to do it. Do you hear what she said, class? She had the 18 tablespoons, and she said, oh, I'm going to borrow from this, and I'm going to make this 11. Whoa, 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 whoa. And she realized when I called on her, that's not right. I need to borrow the tablespoon and make it how many teaspoons?
8 teaspoons.
Uh-oh.
9.
How many teaspoons in a tablespoon, class?
3.
3 teaspoons in a tablespoon. So if I bring the 3 over here to be with the 1, he should be
4 teaspoons.
4 teaspoons now. And then we can subtract our 13 tablespoons, 2 teaspoons, and what will we get for our answer here, Kirsten? Revised?
14 tablespoons and 2 teaspoons.
Right about the 2 teaspoons. Carefully here, the 1 minus 1 is just 0. So 0, 4 is 4 tablespoons. Question, Michael.
Will we ever have to take more,
More than 1.
Yeah, more than 1.
Typically not, because a properly written mixed measure, Michael, wouldn't have, for instance, 13 tablespoons, 5 teaspoons, right? Because if you have tablespoons, you shouldn't have more than 2. You could have 0, 1, or 2 here. If you had 3, it should become another tablespoon. So typically, no, you should never need to borrow more than 1 unless it's written wrong in the first place. I will not write the problems wrong, and I do not believe they will write the problems wrong. Now, they've shocked me before, but I don't think they will. All right? Questions on those evens. I already got all 4 of them correct. All right? Those who didn't, questions on the ones that we missed. We feel like we understand a little bit better now that you've had a chance to try it on your own. Now go back and do the odds. Now that we've got a better idea of what we're doing, now let's go back and do the odds, 23 to 31. Which is a pretty common way to measure things. Like, usually if you buy like lumber or fencing or something, you measure it by the foot rather than by the yard. So the foot is much more common. Yes, sir. I'm sorry? You also bring the units down. Yeah, great question. Yeah, you have to include the units because otherwise your answer makes no sense. Shh, excuse me. All right, everyone finished with those evens at this point, or odds, excuse me, at this point. Good. Let's take a look at number 23. No borrowing needed. We just subtract. Jalen.
What?
Number 23.
4 cups, 2 fluid ounces.
4 cups, 2 fluid ounces. Number 25. We do need to borrow a foot, but there's no other inches there, so we just turn the foot class into 12 inches. We subtract price and we get
1 foot 5 inches.
1 foot 5 inches. Number 27. We have to borrow a pound. And the pound has to become, Luciana,
16 ounces.
16 ounces. But there were already 6 ounces there, so we're really up to how many ounces?
22.
22. Now we subtract, we get?
3 pounds, 10 ounces.
There we go. If you couldn't hear that, it was 3 pounds, 10 ounces. Number 29, same thing again with pounds and ounces. We have to borrow one of those pounds, turn it into 16 ounces. So we end up with, since there were already 7 ounces there, Michael, put 16 more with it, we're up to,
4 pounds and 12 ounces.
well, I didn't ask for the answer, we were up to 8 pounds, 23 ounces. But when we subtract, we do get 4 pounds, 12 ounces as our answer. Number 31, Kirsten, we need to borrow one of those feet, turn that foot into,
Turn that foot into 24. Or, no, I'm wrong.
well, it comes down to 24 feet, but the 1 foot becomes how many inches?
12.
12 inches, but there were already 9 inches there. So if we have now 12 more inches, we're up to how many total inches in the top?
21.
21 inches, so when we subtract, we get what answer?
3 feet and 10 inches.
3 feet and 10 inches is correct. How many got all 5 of those odds correct this time? Are there questions on the odds? Yes, ma'am.
What did you say number 27 was?
Number 27 was 3 pounds, 10 ounces.
Oh, it sounds like you said 10 pounds, 3 ounces. I'm like,
Yeah,
what?
3 pounds, 10 ounces is correct. All right, any questions on those? Let's take a look at number 32 together and read this for us if you would, Sam.
Caleb flew from Philadelphia to Los Angeles. The trip took 8 hours and 35 minutes. The plane stopped at Denver for 4 hours, 20 minutes. How long was Caleb's plane actually in flight?
How many have flown before? How many have ever had to stop at an airport halfway through the flight for a long time? Anyone stopped at the airport longer than you thought you were going to? You thought you were only going to be there for so long, it ended up being a lot longer. Yeah. What do we call a stop at an airport while you wait for your second flight? Class? Layover. Called a layover, right? So if you're flying from one airport to another, but you have to stop somewhere in between, while you're waiting at the airport for your next flight to leave, it's called a layover. And some of us impatient people might think, well, I want the shortest layover possible. But if it's too short, you don't have time to get from one terminal to the next and catch your next flight. So usually about an hour, hour and a half layover gives you time to, if you wanted to stop and get something to eat, you can. If you just want to take your time getting from one place to the next. But 4 hours and 20 minutes in Denver Airport is a really long time to be stuck in Denver. That's a bummer. I have seen flights advertised, by the way, with 11-hour layovers. Can you even fathom that? An 11, I don't know. Our seniors last year on their senior trip, I don't know if y'all remember, their flight from Atlanta got canceled, but they'd already checked in at the airport. And so they were stuck in the airport for almost a day, waiting for a different flight. That's Spirit Airlines for you. Don't fly Spirit Airlines. Anyway, I digress. I also lost the luggage or something. Like the luggage didn't. Anyway, so you'll have to, if you see what, I think Audrey, one of our graduates, was here yesterday. If you happen to see her after, hey, tell us about your senior trip. And she'll be like, why are you asking? Ha. Anyway, number 32, though, at your seats, find how long was the actual flight there. Stopped in Denver for 4 hours, 20 minutes. So how long was he actually on a plane flying? Do we have to do any borrowing, class?
No.
Not this time. What do we get then, Ben?
15 minutes and 4 hours.
Good, and when we read it, we'll just read it in reverse. 4 hours, 15 minutes is correct. How many have that answer? Number 33. I have to ask our administrator about this one. Read number 33 for us if you would, Elaine.
Mrs. Russell must cook her pot roast for 3 hours and 10 minutes in the oven. Her pound cake should bake for only 1 hour 15 minutes. How much longer must the roast bake than the pound cake?
All right, I don't know how many of you have ever helped maybe mom cook, maybe around Thanksgiving dinner or something, and there's lots of different dishes, and it's, okay, I'm going to put this in at this time because it only needs to cook for this, so I'm going to want this to finish the same time as this, right? So it might be one of those, she puts the pot roast in, it stays in the oven for a while, and then when there's just about an hour and 15 minutes left, then she puts the cake in to bake, so they both finish at the same time. Anyway, the question is, how much longer is that pot roast in? At your seats. Subtract, find the answer, and what do you get for your answer, Bryson?
1 hour and 55 minutes.
I'm about to say, you better not mess it up after that. I got some hands, I got double hands, I got a butterfly, I think. I'm not sure what that was. Anyway, an hour and 55 minutes. And that was an eagle. Oh, okay. I don't know. All right, hawk. All right, number 34. Read about Tim and Tyler. Corey.
They
Dr. Wright's nurse weighed Tim and Tyler during their annual checkup. Tim weighed 95 pounds, 8 ounces, and Tyler weighed 93 pounds, 12 ounces. How much more did Tim weigh than Tyler?
At your seats. Findeth the answer. Do we need to borrow, class?
Yes.
Yes. And remember, when you borrow a pound, it needs to become 16 ounces. In addition to the ounces that are already present, what do we get for our answer, Michael?
2 pounds and 12 ounces.
Oh, you forgot you'd borrowed, Corey.
1 pound.
1 pound, 12 ounces. 1 pound, 12 ounces is correct. Questions on subtracting mixed measures. Do we feel like we got a pretty good handle on it?
Yo.
All right. Homework for the weekend. Homework for the weekend. I know you're going on a field trip, but I do need to give you a little bit of homework because you need to practice mixed measures. We've got a test coming up in a week. Lesson 59, for those watching, will be our next test all about measures. Okay, so we need to make sure we're keeping up with stuff. Get a little practice over the weekend. Homework for the weekend is page 234. Page 234, numbers 61 to 69. Page 234, numbers 61 to 69.
That's it?
That's it. Page 234, 61 to 69. When the bell rings, you'll be dismissed. And then, don't forget to take care of everything for the field trip.
I'm not getting